And a good morning to you. Happy Tuesday.
It is a happy Tuesday.
And for Rembert here with
Yes.
you, it is. And it's nice outside. It was 66 degrees when I got here this morning.
It was cool yesterday morning. That got hot and the air was
Yeah,
bad.
it don't take long.
What's going on with
The Canadian wildfires.
So that okay,
you could smell it yesterday.
No,
you could smell
yeah.
it.
So that is all that is. Like it's that. It's
and
not
it's
anything
because
local, right?
the way all the fronts are set up right now, it's just pushing it down through here.
Yeah. Okay.
But you could smell it yesterday. Yesterday was a little bit different because you could
was.
smell it. I mean, I
was a
thought there
rough
was something
day.
on fire somewhere.
It was sick, man.
But it was nice and cool this morning. I haven't looked lately on the weather, but
5,000.
yeah, I'm talking about
Be
rain
like
though. There's no rain.
I don't think so for
in
a
the
couple,
forecast.
for like
Yeah,
3 or 4 days, right?
10-day. Well, they got a 50% chance tomorrow.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's it, right?
Well, every day, 30 to 40, 50% chance.
Okay. I thought it
80s.
didn't have any.
I don't see any 90-degree days
Okay, good.
after today.
Good.
91 for today. Next week, 80s. Next Thursday's the first time it's calling for it to get up to 90 degrees. But
Our tea time.
I won't be here
I know.
early.
Yeah, our tea time will be early, but it'll be in the mid 70s.
Yes, but because you're there on the Intercoastal Waterway, you've got a breeze.
And you also got humidity.
Yeah, but you got a breeze.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
I'll take the breeze.
So that's why it'll be in the mid 70s early.
And they'll water it.
Yeah.
And that makes it worse. And you've got instant fog coming up. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very well aware of those conditions. We've got, let's see, what have I got going on for today? I am going to talk to Juju about it just a little bit last night. We had Tim Wilcox. He's got another wrestling event coming up down at Cross Country. The last one was pretty well received, about 250, 300 people there.
Yeah, it did well, right?
Yeah, he did well with it.
Yeah.
Richie, good morning. Milton, good morning. He said the Canadian smoke is going to be bad again today. Yeah. It's going to be bad till it rains, I think. Some of these fronts move through. I think that's when it'll change out a little bit.
Junk out there.
But it's a little rough out there right now. Richie said after yesterday, I'm going to need a beach trip for golfing or something. Well, it ain't no better down there, but the only thing about it's a little bit cooler when you get down there from the ocean breeze coming in. I told somebody, plan on being in there for the week. I'll never touch the sand. I may see the ocean because they'll make me go out on the boardwalk there at Carolina Beach and take a picture.
Oh yeah,
Do that kind of thing. But I don't.
You're
I
not
don't
gonna go
do
on
the
the
beach.
beach?
I don't do the beach. Mm-mm.
And you don't feel like you're like missing anything, right?
No, I've seen it. It's pretty well the same one. Can't see the other side. I played football with the guy. First time he ever went to the beach, he was a junior in high school.
Oh, yeah.
We went to the beach with the youth group, and he wouldn't get in the ocean because he couldn't see the other side. Yeah. He had never seen anything like that. That was pretty amazing.
When I went off to school with a guy, we met a guy, and obviously, in the dorm or whatever, and he had come from the Midwest, and he had never seen the ocean. So a couple weeks later, it was only like less than an hour, from ECU to like Morehead City, right? No big deal. Take back roads, it's nothing. So a couple weeks later, we took him.
Yeah.
And he walked out there, and I'm gonna tell you something. That was, he's a kid. He's 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the look on his face when his feet touched.
And you're thinking because you've always seen it,
right? And then lived there. When
and
I was a kid
and
for a
somebody
little while,
that's never seen it, never experienced it.
It was the older I get. Now I appreciated it then.
Yeah.
And it was kind of overwhelming, but then you don't cry because you're a tough guy. But the older I get, the more that I appreciate getting to see that experience with his feet touching the sand and walking out and putting his feet in the water. It was like it was like he had one of those, I guess, aha moments or whatever. Yeah. But it was neat.
I'm taking it, Tim. Good morning. I'm taking it you got moved to the new house, undoubtedly. Tim Smith, he's the pastor over at Maiden Wesleyan.
Oh, yeah.
And they built a new house in behind me off H.E. Probst Road.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic.
And I knew they were about finished, but undoubtedly they must have got finished because he called me neighbor. He must be down there for good.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Welcome to the neighborhood. When you talk about moments like that and things that you see, I'll pass this on to you. You guys here in Maiden are aware of Green Relief, which is the CBD store.
Yeah.
There's a guy, his name's Jeff Williams. He's the one that owns it. He's the middle brother of three brothers, the Williams brothers. There's Bruce, Jeff, and Russell. Bruce is my age. Jeff is either 1 or 2 years younger. But Bruce passed away last week. Had a massive heart attack followed by 2 strokes, and slipped away. And Bruce was the youngest. He was the youngest classmate in my class. He was born in December. And I'm telling all this because he was born in Florida. They were all born in Florida.
Right.
And when they moved up here, Bruce was in maybe first grade or something. He was so amazed the first time he had saw snow because he had never seen snow living in Florida, So it was that aha moment, again, like you're saying. But Bruce, we had 2 kids, Bruce
cool.
and then another friend of mine, good friend of mine, Nelson Roseborough. They wrestled, and I think they both played football at least for a year or so, but they wrestled 98 in high school.
Whoa.
They were little.
Wow.
Wrestled
That's
98.
That's
yeah.
impressive.
But Bruce was a good friend, go way back. I'm glad I saw him at our last high school reunion, and then he had come up here and was helping his brother some. And when I'd go by there, I saw 2 of them sitting there, and I said, okay, there's 2 of the 3. Let me find out. And I stopped, and it was Bruce, and we caught up on some good times. And I had planned to stop back there again. He had went to Florida. I can't remember, something family related, but and then that's where he got sick. But they're going to have a memorial service for him in August. But he's Bruce was a good one. That's just another one of those went to school with. I told somebody. We graduated 105 or 107 in my class.
Okay.
And I think we're down. I know we're under 90. We're probably in the mid-80s of classmates that are left that I know of, which, 45 years out, that's still
impressive.
Yeah, that's still pretty good, I guess. But let me move on. Anything exciting happening in sports that you're interested in?
Well, I mean, obviously high school football.
Around the corner, East-West games this week.
East-West
coaching
game.
clinic.
I talked to, I haven't talked to any of the guys, and I say guys, I'm talking about football coaches in several weeks, a couple of months. Just what I mean. We just whatever. But I've talked to like 5 of them in the last 2 days, and some of the guys locally. I saw Will yesterday, his daughter's birthday. They were eating lunch at Don's. And
I saw you at Don's. You were sitting outside.
Yeah, me and Mom, and then Mom and Dad showed up, and then Brother Aaron. So I had me and my 2 boys. Well, anyway, so we got a chance to catch up because we hadn't talked hardly any at all the last several months. And he's talking about Maiden, and he said they're young, and well, I mean we all know that because they graduated 24 seniors and had 5 basically 5 or 6 juniors returning. But they got a good group of younger kids, and the seniors that are there will do a good job. They're good kids, good parents, good families, good leaders. But he said they're going to be young. But I think, based on what I've seen, they still share video and things with me on Huddle. I'm still on the list or whatever, so I've been watching some things. I like them. I think they're going to do well. I think they'll surprise some people as far as so many kids leaving, but yet just feeling the. I think they're going to do well. I'm encouraged by it.
David Keever stopped by here yesterday afternoon. We were talking about that too. He had talked to some folks. Of course, he works down at Lincoln High School, and he said Lincoln's going to be much better this year.
They are.
He said that they played in some kind of 7-on-7 league, and 2 of the teams they beat in 7-on-7 were 2 of the top 3A teams.
That's right.
Which was South Point and East Lincoln.
That's right.
But East Lincoln graduated a lot. But I talked with Wes Beam about a week or so ago, and he said they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
They're going to be okay too.
The West. Well, again, that's one of the other guys that I talked to David Avery a couple of days ago, and I'm excited about their season too. I think this is going to be it's different, and I'm talking about from a personal standpoint because I'm not going to be on the sidelines. I'm not going to be the day-to-day thick of everything. All right, so it's going to be different. So I get to step back and be a little bit more objective and that kind of thing, and just kind of see things for what they are. But the league last year was a good league that was senior dominated by many teams.
East Lincoln graduated 22 or 26.
Right.
I can't remember. Yeah.
West Lincoln.
Yeah, they did too. Well, you take Mason, that's a chunk going out of West Lincoln from an offense and defense standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, and they had such good kids like Curtis Goins, and I mean they had a ton of great players there. West did, obviously East did, it always does, but it's just an exciting time with high school football around the corner. And I think what's so exciting this year, Lanny, for many people, there's always an unknown when you start a season. But this year it's a little different because it was so senior-laden in the conference last year with the top teams, with the exception of Bunker Hill. Mm-hmm. So they were very, very small senior class and have a lot
pretty darn good, too.
Of great players and a couple good ones moving up. So could this be the year for that, right? And the arrows point in that direction for them. But I would never count out, Darren Ponder and David Avery at West. I think Maiden, just tradition alone, is going to show up and do really well.
Don't forget Pack at Newton Conover.
And you've got a coach that's been there several years now that's got his claws in the system with Coach Pack at Newton. And of course Bunker Hill. So there's going to be some unknowns and a little bit of unsure, going into this year. But it'll be kind of exciting too, because you just don't know.
Well, and I think there's a lot of big expectations coming out of Hickory as well. Joe Glass, it's be his second year, and I think they've improved quite a bit. Yeah, and so they're going to be a contender in that same league with East Lincoln and Statesville, and who's the other ones in there? The idle schools in it, but they're not as strong.
No, you got East. All right, you got East. You got Fred T. Ford. You got North Iredale. You've got St. Stephen's, who, let me tell you something.
They've improved too.
That may be the team that –
Statesville.
Yeah, St. Stephen's may be the one that has – let me tell you something. Last year that was a tough game to – prepare for. Kyle, everybody knows this. Randy Lohman for years and years at Bandy's, but Kyle, Kyle and of course Trent's at East Surrey, but these guys, they're very good at what they do.
Yep.
Very good, and that was tough.
Richie wants to know if you ever hit 41 home runs in a home run derby. Richie,
wiffle ball.
he knows chicks dig the long ball.
Oh, God.
But he's a strategic kind of guy.
I'm very strategic.
He likes to place the ball, small ball. He's about small ball.
I'm too tactical.
Yeah.
Now, funny story. I had this big kid from Bandy's that played for us at the Legion, J.W. Laney, back when Justin Sizemore and all these guys. We could hit massive home runs. Beginning of the year, I said, he hit fourth. I said, I need you to lay one down. He said, Coach, I've never bunted in my life. I said, that's right. I want you to lay one down right here. Well, he took him a couple attempts, and he got it. Come back, he was like, I hit. I said, hold on a minute. There's going to be a time in a playoff game when we need you to do this, okay? Because you got great hitters behind you as well. All right, so I maybe want to stay out of double play if we got first and second and you're up. I may want to stay out of the chance of that. He's like, I understand. Yes, sir, whatever. Good, great kid. Playoff time comes up. First and second, no outs. He walks to the third base coaching box to me. Calls timeout. Coach, you want me to lay it down right here? I said, no, I want you to hit over the trees. And he did. It was awesome. But the point is, kids, they'll adapt and adjust. They just have to be introduced, and expectation has to be set in a positive manner, right?
Now, you talk about that, and I'm going to another conversation that Kiever and I had yesterday regarding baseball, and you've got a little more in-depth knowledge about it, so I'm gonna go there when we come back in a moment.
Okay.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. I'll go ahead and tell you, sit down, buckle up. I'm going to flex my baseball knowledge here. Pull your mic a little closer. I'm going to flex my baseball knowledge because inquiring minds want to know the question that I have. Kiefer came in here yesterday. We were talking, and he was talking about how the game had kind of gotten a little bit boring because of all the home runs. And like in the College World Series, when you have a game, and I want to say it was in the semis or in the Super Regionals, one game was like 24-3 or something. I don't want to see that. I mean, I don't want to see that. And then the other question that we had was, are there too many home runs in Major League Baseball? I'm not that crazy about it there either, because there's very little strategy involved in the game anymore, and that's what baseball was about. And I've said this before, baseball is the only sport where you don't remember the numbers for the teams and how they finish, but you remember the statistics of the players, batting averages, RBIs, and those type things. So the game has changed. And then the other question we talked about is it going to take something tragic to happen in college baseball for them to come back and go to a wooden bat versus a metal bat? I heard last week on one of the Talking Head programs, they were talking about it, and they asked that question. They said, well, it's cost. So I looked it up. An average aluminum bat's around $300, and if you buy a bunch of wooden bats, and I mean Major League quality wooden bats, you can get them for $60 to $80. And there's 2 basic types from what I read yesterday. Maple, which is harder and it is heavier, and then they use one called Northern Ash, that's lighter. But one of the other things that I found interesting, one of the major aluminum bat producers, Marucci, they also produce wooden bats, as well as Rawlings and, of course, Louisville. But those are, give me your take on that, where you think it's going. Does it change? And the biggest thing about it, of all the things about it, I hate the ping. I don't want to hear the ping from the bat.
Yeah.
I want to hear the wood crack. I don't want to hear the ping.
Yeah, the problem is the wood. No, and I completely get that as a purist or I say purist, mostly purist.
I'm
right?
a purist baseball guy.
So with the lack of small ball being played today, third baseman and first baseman at the most are a step in front of the bag. Maybe in a double play situation. Most of the time not. They're just there. First baseman automatically is because he's holding somebody on. Third baseman, whatever. They modified the bats over 20 years ago. They went from drop 5 to drop 3s.
And what does that mean?
So that's the inches to ounces ratio.
Okay.
So if you used to, you could have a bat that was 34 inches and 29 ounces. And, that was incredible. There were lightning rods coming off the bats when the balls were like lightning rods. And so LSU, when they went on their tear for home runs, what they did was they kind of modified the hitting of the way that they taught things to the blast system. That's called base leverage, arm action, okay, or angle, all right, stance and torque. And so what they were able to do is basically just sit on their back foot and just pivot. And as soon as they made solid contact with bats that light, it was gone.
And the ball speed coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. And back, 25 years ago, people weren't throwing 100 miles an hour. They were throwing 91, 92, 93, at best, right? And there's more pitching than throwing going on, okay? And, that, again, that's a debatable conversation, all right, for, down the road. If today there's more throwing than pitching going on, I say overall the answer is yes, but specifically no. I think there's actually more pitching going on because it's
and when you say throwing versus pitching, throwing just means you're bringing it.
Yeah, just how hard.
And
you can throw
pitching means that you have a variety of pitches to be able to move the ball.
Yeah, Greg Maddux style. And again, I'm not comparing any kids today to Maddux. What I mean is that philosophy of I can throw the ball 94, 95 miles an hour, but I'm gonna pitch at 86, 87, and I'm gonna make this game last an hour and 28 or hour and 42 minutes and get out of here and I'm gonna throw all 9 innings because I know how to pitch. Okay. But with the metal bats, Lanny, there's, it's like anything in this world. You follow the trail, and there's a lot of margin for making a metal bat versus what's sold for. The average is $300, but I will tell you that they're $400, $500, and $600.
Oh yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And the kids that play are not going to play with $300 bats. Same thing with the wood bats. They're between 60. I think you said 60 and 80. They're going to get the $100, $150, $125 wood bats. That's just the way they're going to do it because they want the best equipment, the very best equipment that they can have. Number one, it's a style thing more than it is a substance thing.
Right.
Because, a lot of people talk.
That name it's on the bat.
Well, it's true, too. And then what the latest data shows that, well, this bat can do this. Yeah, but it hadn't been in the field yet. This is what you say it's going to do. So there's a lot of that going on. There were Black Magic bats back in the 80s and mid to late 80s that were drop 3s, 32, 29, 34, 31. Then TPX came out with bats doing the half, say 33 and a half, 30 and a half. My dad told me, he said, son, you can't swing a 31-ounce bat, but, the 30 may be too light, so this 30.5 is going to be perfect for you. You use the 33-inch. 33 and a half inch, 30 and a half ounce, bat, right? So, I don't see it happening. I'm hopeful that it doesn't because the college game is the college game. We've already changed football so much to try to mimic pro football. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about from an overall perspective view of, well, I'm getting paid to do this. That has trickled down now. So the similarities in the way the players are in their performance is the same, but the way they go about the game is still different. They're trying to meld those two together. In baseball, it is individual skill. It is, production-based, and it's like Mike Piazza. He was drafted as a favor. His father-in-law or his stepfather, was good friends with his godfather, obviously, Tommy Lasorda. And they drafted Piazza. They liked nothing about him when they saw him. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There was nothing about Piazza that appealed to them. Well, he gets a wood bat in his hand, and the ball sounds a little different coming off of it than most guys. Okay, so he goes from a 62nd round pick to obviously the career that he had. Okay? So, there's a lot of opportunity there. And the other thing, too, is, Lane, these kids that play wood bat in the summer, I think they should play with metal bats in the summer because it takes 2 to 3 weeks to get used to swinging the wood. And it's all about enhancing your game because most of these kids that play in the summer are not going to play pro ball. Do away with the wood bats. Let's play with metal. Let's get these kids ready for their college seasons. And then if they have an opportunity,
why did they make the change and start to allow the non-wood bats in baseball?
The times have changed. Like when my dad.
But it never changed in the majors.
No. That's a different skill level, right? What happens is baseball is it's like there's a big debate between hockey and baseball, right? Round ball, round bat, round object, both two objects. Okay, flat surface, round puck. I'm not saying one's harder than the other. What I'm saying is there's a debate on that. Well, the puck doesn't change trajectory, right? You see it. Now, it doesn't mean it's not moving, but you see it and then you hit it. It's not sliding. It's sliding, but it's not, curving or anything.
Up and down
right.
and stuff.
This is the issue. My dad played in the semi-pro, the National Baseball Congress in Roxburgh, North Carolina. They had several teams. Coach Snyder is very familiar with this because he actually played with my dad one, which I didn't even know, one weekend when I was real little kid. But they made the transition in the National Baseball Congress from wood in the early mid-'70s to metal and the Adirondack bats. Now, this is the crazy thing. They were almost as heavy as the wood, if not heavier.
The old bombers were.
Yes.
You remember the bomber aluminum bats?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So if you had a bat, it could be a 33-inch bat, 34-ounce or 33-ounce, right? There was no ratio difference. It was just metal. Well, it's more cost-effective. We're going through, oil embargo. I mean, just crazy times, right? Inflationary thing. I mean, just crazy stuff, right? The world's changed a little bit, so they had to adapt the cost of the game to make things more efficient because, let's just face it, back in the 70s, the money multiplier was not in place. People had no money. They didn't have when I was growing up. If you go to McDonald's, that was a big deal.
When I first
Today,
started,
that's what you do. You just stop by and grab a biscuit. Back then, you couldn't do it because you didn't have anything.
When I first started playing church league softball when I was in high school, we predominantly had wood bats. We had a few bombers, but just not many.
That's right, even
but
softball.
you still played. You still played with wood bats.
And I don't have a problem with any. Like personally, people can have their opinion on things. Lane, that's okay. That never bothers me about anything because that's their right. The one thing I can tell you is that the game would drastically change and less people would be playing it because of the failure rate. Baseball is a game of failure. It's not a game of success. Being 30% is considered like astronomically successful.
300.
Right.
300, right.
Which is crazy because nobody does. I say nobody. Very few people do. Well, if you only catch 30% of your passes in the NFL that are thrown to your targets, or you're a 30% passer, well, first of all, you don't have a job next week, okay? Sorry. Same thing in shooting free throws. Same thing in shooting field goals, right? In basketball, field goal percentage. So it's a different mindset and different game.
Andrew said his comment was, roll back here, that from his time of viewing sports, they can move to wood bats if they want. However, the athletes will adapt and the same safety problem will show right back up. From what Keever says statistically, the ball exit speed is not nearly as fast in the pros, in the majors, as it is in college. And they've got all that stuff that they
but that's true. But there are different factors that go into, and these college third basemen.
I played the hot corner some.
Division I and II.
I wasn't throwing nobody out at first, but
most of these third basemen, number one, are incredibly coordinated.
There you go. That's why I played the hot corner.
Incredibly. Number two, they likely will have an opportunity to move on because of what they can do, especially if they can swing it a little bit. So I understand what David's saying, and he is right. Keever is 100% right. The balls coming off the bat at the hot corner in college baseball, for the most part, on an average, are higher, like 16, 17% higher speed-wise. However, it's still over 90 feet. And that is like an eternity when you are a skilled, assessed.
Not a pitcher, though.
That's 60 feet.
One comes off the bat back at a pitcher.
Don't disagree with that, but that is different.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, oh, yeah.
And what I mean by that is that is a ball that is hit straight in the middle, where the bat head is in the center of the plate and not out in front necessarily, where it's maximum power angle, where it's hit exactly right. So, there. I just don't see it changing.
Chad said, have you seen someone who was having wiffle ball tournaments, also for adults? I see it on TikTok and Facebook Reels.
Well, Labs
look pretty neat.
Labs got it going on.
Really?
And they're going to do it sometime, yeah. And I didn't read it. I just saw the thing.
I played it a lot as a kid.
They're going to have adults and I believe all the way down, young ages all the way to adults. So, but no, I will not be participating.
When I was growing up, we all went to my grandmother's. There were 3 sisters, my mother and her 2 sisters. I was the only kid. One sister had an only child, and the other sister had 5.
Right.
Okay? And we were all boys. And we would go to lunch at my grandmother's every Sunday, and we played every Sunday, whatever sport was in. Football. If it was basketball, we went down to my house because that was right below my grandmother's. But if it was baseball season, we went and got one of those big wiffle bats, the big plastic ones.
Oh, yeah, bomb bats.
And we played wiffle ball. Yeah, that's the way we played baseball.
It said, pow!
Yeah, that's right. Andrew said college at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown last week, he saw Babe Ruth swung a 36-inch.
36, I believe.
And then he's got +7. I think what he meant was there's a 36-inch, 43-ounce.
That's correct. It's almost, if I remember right, it was almost 44. So it was over 43, but less than 44, just the weight of the bat. But what's interesting is it has everything to do with the strength of the player. Bat speed is great, but like Quinn can go in the lab for a solid hour and 30 minutes and hit with a 34-ounce wood bat that he's got, a heavy training bat. And, he may be the only one in there that can do that, right? Most of the kids, if they swung a bat like that for, that long, their arms would fall off. I mean, and I'm not bragging on him. What I'm saying is it's different. It's just a different weight and a different way you swing that, right? And the wood bat, the reason that you train with a wood bat is because it's not forgiving like a metal bat is. You and I talked about it. LSU made a college World Series run for several years on the potential of just making contact, not solid contact, because of the way the bats were made. They just sat back, basically waited for the ball to get their step, and swung and just tried to hit the ball out of the park.
Launch angle.
Right, no problem. Okay, they didn't want to hit it solid. They just wanted to contact it with their strength and the lightness of the bat. Bat speed could make the ball potentially go out of the park, and it did. The ball that Pete Incaviglia hit, and I don't know if Richie's still. Yeah, I think he's still listening. But Richie will probably remember this, and Milton too, but when he hit that in the early 80s, I think he played for Miami, when he hit that home run at the Rosenblatt Stadium, I mean, that thing hadn't landed yet. It just I don't even know how to explain it. It was longer than the home run I gave up to Mark Porch at the old Walker Stadium. There used to be a huge, and Chad will know this if he's still listening.
Yep.
There used to be a huge tree out at Walker Stadium, and the lights were inside the fence. It was like 400 feet out, just crazy deep, right? And there was this oak tree, I guess it had to be, it looked like it's 1,000 feet tall. So I'm out there, and I'm ninth grader. Porch is coming back from college, played at Western. Dude could swing it. Thinking, okay. So I'm out there, I'm like, he thinks I'm throwing a breaking ball right here. So I threw him a couple breaking balls, right? Got one strike, one was a ball. I thought I can sneak his fastball in on his hands. He hit that thing, Laney. I swear it came right by my head. And then all of a sudden it just took off, and it started rising. That thing, hey, a few weeks ago I saw it. It was circling, circling the galaxy again, right? Yep. God, crazy stuff. You talking about a bat.
Richie said if you want to feel like you crushed the ball, play with a tennis ball.
Yeah. Amen to that.
The wiffle balls, I just liked it. And Richie said, I may have missed it, or maybe you said it was because of cost, but why do they not use wooden bats in college? And I think that's where it first started. But the other side of it is, and this is the thing, and I'll believe this, and this is now I'm going to get out of my non-baseball knowledge. I think a lot of it in college is because, and we talked about this off the air, such a push and so much money to be made in these metal bats.
Yeah.
And you got the kids that are playing in lower levels that want that same brand, want that same bat that so-and-so's playing with. And so that's why I do it. If you want to make your head spin, when Addison was playing softball, and this is when she was playing softball was probably 7-8 years ago, you were paying $200 for a kid bat then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. I'd hate to think what they are now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I do want to mention this, and maybe you'll know this too. One of the things that I noticed in the College World Series and in watching the playoffs and stuff, your big-time college programs, do they get custom-made gloves because the leather looks the same? They've been They've been embossed, and they're team colors.
Yeah, so a lot of them have contracts, obviously, with the sporting good companies.
And a lot of them's Mizuno.
Right. So they come in and they'll do some fittings and things like that, but and they'll have. I'm sure there's a couple of gloves made custom for that shortstop or that second baseman or whatever. They could fit it to the mold, take a imprint of the mold and then make the glove to that, which is what they need to be doing anyway. But the glove, I hear people all the time say things like, and I mean I haven't said this, but they say things like, well, it's not the plane, it's the pilot. Like they do in the movies, or it's not the. Somebody said one time, I heard whatever they said, it wasn't the arrow. It's the Indian or person shooting is what what they were implying. It's about who's in control of that. Shooting it, or what I'm saying, swinging it, whatever. That is true to some degree, but you can't take a subpar bat, and get any kind of resilience with it for any length of time. So it's more of an investment that's being made, where it's often looked at as an expense. This is how much it costs. Well, things cost what they cost, but what is the value that it brings? Does it equal the cost? I heard somebody this weekend, somebody posted on Facebook, one of our friends said, I'll never go cheap again with anything I want to build. I'm going to get the best builder I can find because this project's been a nightmare. Well, I mean, there's a yin and a yang, right? There's a happy medium. Same thing with the bats. Same thing with the gloves.
I was just looking here, and this glove has been around forever. According to this website, baseball360.com, there's over 69 gloves available, but one of the top manufacturers and gloves is Wilson, and it's the A2000. That glove has been around forever. I think I've got one.
I still got mine. I got mine my senior year in high school, and I used it to pitch with. I had outfield gloves like this long. It's probably illegal. Basically softball glove. That's what I used to play outfield with since I was like 7th grade. But I got that A2000 to pitch with, and I got to tell you, man, that glove still today is in pristine
Well, you take
condition.
care of them. Yeah,
it's
they're
crazy.
leather. They're real. They're real deal.
Crazy.
Yeah. Were you an index finger in or out of the glove?
Oh, out.
Okay.
Yeah, for control. And that's a debatable topic too. But most of the kids that I coached, I encouraged them to go out first to feel.
And most of your top of the line type gloves would leave a place on the index finger.
They started doing it because when you're catching the ball, you don't really squeeze with the index finger, right? You squeeze with really these two fingers right here. This one right here is really, the little pinky finger really doesn't do a whole lot except get stung when you're hitting or when you're catching the ball the wrong way. It's really not of much use, but you really close with these two fingers right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why, like, if you're in there and your wife is giving birth to your son and they say, let her, squeeze your hand, you let her do these two fingers here. You don't put 3 in there because she'll break them, right? You do these two, right? There's a reason, because the strength and, dexterity and other things of those two fingers and the way we're made. And that's the way most of the gloves were catered, because you'll notice, Lanny, that some of them didn't have, but really 2 places to stick your hand in, where it fit these 2 and then they would all close together, right? So, guys, a lot of crazy stuff. Some people, I can't remember if Chad did this or not, but there was a guy from South that left his pinky finger off the bat. I don't think it was Jason Wallace. It may have been Kelly. Was it Kelly Robbins? Chad may remember it, but I just remember it very distinctly because he's a right-handed hitter. But his finger, this pinky finger, was all the way off the knob of the bat. That's all he used was, what I'm saying, up to. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Andrew said, I'll admit that I'm as guilty as anyone with the bull, but you'd be shocked how many kids are carrying multiple. No, I'm not shocked. That was happening 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew.
$300
plus bats
you're talking about the
in their
number of bats,
in their bags.
Expensive bats, right?
Yeah, and one player have more than one $300 bat.
Right.
It's all about technology. I'm not as guilty of it with my golf stuff. I can be, but I'm not as guilty as I've had. The set of clubs that I have now is the first true pro line clubs that I've had in a really long time. Now, according to my wife, I buy 2 sets a week.
3
sometimes. On a good week, I'll buy 3 sets of golf
another
clubs.
one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, or a bag. What's wrong with the bag you got? How many bags you got?
Ooh.
Handbags.
Oh.
And none of mine say Louis Vuitton on them. Mine usually say Sun Mountain or Spalding. Huh?
What do your shoes say?
Hey, dude. That's what my shoes say.
Mine say, I'm taking them off and play barefooted.
Mine say, hey, dude. Before we get off here, one more thing. Bucket list thing
Yep.
was on this weekend because the British Open was across the pond.
Yep.
The American Century.
Yep.
Steph Curry won it. Mm-hmm. When you say barefoot, that's what made me think about it. Jim McMahon's got some kind of issue with the foot. He was in a boot, but he plays barefoot.
Right.
He had one barefoot, and he had the boot on,
and
was still walking around. But that's one of those things that's got to be one of the prettiest views you've ever seen, to be standing on the golf course, looking over the lake with snow on the mountains in the background.
I love it.
That's a great view. That's a great view. Bob said, my best bat ever had a screw, nail, and electrical tape holding it together. That's why you don't use.
So true, Bob. So true.
But you talk about the longevity of the aluminum bats. But the only thing about it, I can remember when you could get a bat replaced on warranty because it would dent.
Yes.
They weren't supposed to dent.
Yeah,
so they weren't perfect. And that was in softball, and softball ain't nearly as hard as a baseball.
Right. So, just the wall of the bat.
Yep, because they try to make them so thin.
So it'll
spring off. We'll be back on, you here Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, be back on Thursday, and I think Juju's going to join us on Thursday. That's what he said last night.
He told me Saturday he was going to try and make it Thursday.
And then, of course, we'll be gone all week next week. But have a good day, folks. Stay cool out there if you can. And we'll be back in here on Thursday for another edition of The Bottom Line. Have a good one.